Welcome back to U.S. History. I'm Mr. Freeman, but you should already know that. Alright. What I need everybody to do is to follow along on your worksheet. There's going to be 3 questions that I want you to answer during this video, and I will be stopping to prompt you to answer those particular questions throughout the video. Alright. Today we're going to be talking about the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Alright. It's one of the more pivotal legislations and events in the early half of the U.S. history, especially with regards to abolitionist and slave movements and anti-slave movements. Let's get started. So the year is 1819. The United States is still a young country, but it is slowly beginning to establish itself as a power on the international stage. Part of the reason behind America's growing influence internationally is because its ability to export and sell goods to other countries. Southern states specifically were primary exporters of goods such as cotton, sugarcane, and tobacco. And southern states have firmly based their entire economy around this agricultural model. More importantly, the reason why southern states wanted to continue down this agricultural path is because it was entirely profitable due to free slave labor to both harvest and farm all the large plantations that were being developed. Northern states at this time were also developing its own identity and economic model. These economic models revolved around textile and manufacturing industries. In regions such as New England, New York, and the Ohio Valley, slavery had been banned as a practice for upwards of 20 to 30 years in some cases. So we're seeing a greater divide amongst the northern states and the southern states in terms of economy and on the issue of slavery. With this background information out of the way, let's talk about the compromise itself. Before I get started, I want you to take a moment to think about how laws get passed in our government. How do laws and legislation get passed in our government? Think specifically about the legislative branch of government and the Senate. I'll give you a couple of moments to think and jot down some notes. Okay, back to 1819. Now at this time, Missouri had already had the sufficient number of people in their population. They've already had their own constitution, which they drafted, and they've begun the process of petitioning the U.S. government to join the Union as a slave state. Now this is of great concern to many of the northern and New England states who are already anti-slavery. More importantly, by 1819, there was an even number of slave to free states within the U.S. Senate, meaning that there was an equal amount of power within this portion of Congress. Now, if you already have a majority in the Senate, then it's easier to pass laws through Congress. As representatives from both free and slave states within the Senate fiercely debated the inclusion of Missouri into the Union, a well-respected and a well-known lifelong politician by the name of Henry Clay joined the debate. Because of his negotiation skills, Clay's reputation was seen as an asset to both people on sides of the debate. Now I want you to take another moment. Right? Using the information we've already discussed, write a response to the following question. Why was it important to keep a balance between the number of free states and the number of slave states in Congress? Okay, now back to the compromise itself. So by 1820, Henry Clay was able to broker this deal between the representatives of each states, both the northern regions who were anti-slavery and the southern regions who were again using slavery as their main way to run their economy. Okay, the resolution that was created was that Missouri could enter the Union as a slave state as long as Maine also enters at the same time as a free state. Another measure that was added in the Missouri Compromise was that slavery would be prohibited north of the 3630 line, which ends up being the modern-day southern border of Missouri, as you can see on the map. So before I end this video, I want you to answer one final question. How did the Missouri Compromise affect how new states were added to the Union going forward? Okay, So that's a quick overview of the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Be sure to finish up any last-minute sentences or thoughts you have about the questions posed. Feel free to replay this video again if you still have some questions or are unclear about any of the details about this historical event. Alright, thank you for listening, and get ready for discussion once class resumes.